Hello, everybody. This is Michael Utoff, and I'm here with a big surprise for you. I have an individual that I admire greatly, that I've been able to see his career progress and move forward. He was a stalwart of the Joffrey Ballet for almost 18 years, a most appreciated dancer from our audiences in St. Louis. And without further ado, let me introduce you to Fabrice Calmels. Fabrice, welcome to this interview.
Hello, Michael. Welcome, everyone. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. And you?
I'm very well. Enjoying this, in a sarcastic way, this quarantine and this COVID unprecedented time. So it's quite an experience.
Well, it seems to be like a bookend for you, because you just told me how you ended up coming to America, and it happened in a moment of great world crisis as well. Here I am interviewing you almost 20 years later. Give me a little bit about your path that got you to the Joffrey Ballet.
So it was interesting because I trained with the Paris Opera ballet school, and I was doing really well in my classroom, doing fantastic actually. And I was one of the favorites, to really join the ballet company. But unfortunately, at age around 17, 18, I grew very quickly and I became very tall, turned out to be now 6'7", and what it turned out to be is that the Paris Opera didn't have any room for me because of my height. Unfortunately, the Paris Opera, we all know, they all have dancers who have a similar height, etc. So I didn't fit the ensemble. So I took a chance to come to the United States. But what I discovered really rapidly is that the United States kind of have the same formula and the same structure as European ballet company, like the Paris Opera. So I kind of stopped facing the same thing. But one company stood out, the Joffrey Ballet, under the direction of Gerald Arpino. And Gerald Arpino and the Joffrey Ballet always have this thing, which was, it was about passion. It was about the dancer. It was about the artist. And so they were not limited within kind of a body shape, or it didn't matter if you were tall, small. It didn't matter. What they were looking for is really the essence of art, was the passion, the drive, all this, quality. And Arpino really knew right away what he wanted to do with me, so he gave me a shot. And I joined the Joffrey in 2002, which was right after 9/11.
That's amazing, because in that we have a similar path, because I joined the Joffrey Ballet as well, but decades before you. And I was coming also from a world of modern dance, not like you. I was told for dancers at that time, but nothing like you. But I was being a modern dancer, and all of a sudden here was Robert Joffrey and Gerald Arpino basically opening the doors to a new eclectic way of moving, a new eclectic way of looking at dance, where you didn't have to be cookie cutter. I always tell people, I said, we were very difficult to put on a straight line because we had all different sizes, shapes, and there's no way that we could do a quarter ballet. Everybody was a soloist. But you actually spent 18 years with them, which, accounting for the Joffrey Ballet, that's remarkable, because their dances are so difficult, and that whole idea of changing from contemporary to classic to modern, it's very exciting, but it takes a toll on your body. And I think it's amazing. I know that you've done certain things for yourself, so to make sure that you could be healthy enough to get to this time. How did you manage?
That's actually a great question. I think, and obviously something to point out as well really quickly is that ballet company, in the United States compared to France, it's about the numbers of dancers also. And while, European company has, their government funded, so they're supported by the government, they can afford themselves more dancers. While American company are much more smaller because always private funding and they're always seeking for money. And so because of that, they're always very reduced when it comes to the number of dancers. That's the first thing. But also the rhythm, the speed of how things can turn around because of that. They are constantly on a grueling schedule of having these compressed deadlines. It's like you come in, you have this repertoire, you have to learn it really rapidly. If it's a new piece of work, you have basically the discovery time, which is how we're going to create that piece. What is the right movement? And after you have figured out your movement, you have to rehearse it, right? So you're always very crunch, and usually they're for about 5 weeks. And the third part is that indeed the Joffrey keeps just completely changing between classical and contemporary and things like that. I really quickly learned that it was a very taxing schedule on your body, just because your body constantly is in need to adapt, and it takes time. It's like a workout. You can't just like lose weight within 5 days period. Your body needs some time to adapt, to really kind of figure out what needs to be done to be able to accomplish that. And for me, like I realized that to be able to maneuver, like to go through time and be able to still be at my highest level, I had to kind of like figure out some kind of a pace to myself, which was, I see a lot of these kids coming right away and just giving, 200%, which is great because then, you're putting yourself there. But unfortunately for the body, sometimes it could be so hard. And so you launch yourself so fast, and then something happens, and then you just go from 200 to 0. You have to kind of like pace yourself, really understand first what it's about, what is the choreography about, let your body absorb it, and then continue slowly and gradually. You have to be able to pace yourself. And this is pretty much what I have discovered pretty quickly with experience and a couple injuries to learn it. You really learn this over time and how to maneuver these waters.
Yeah, well, I wish I would have known that when I was there, because I was at 200 to 0. We went in, we worked like an idiot, jumped like a mile, stood on our heads, whatever we could. And then 4 years later, the body said, no way anymore, you can't do it. But you captured the imagination of the audience. Audiences loved you, because of what you said, that the beauty about the Joffrey, I think, more than in any other company, is that at least the old Joffrey, I can't say much for the new one, I don't know about the new one as much, you were able to express your personality. You were able to be nurtured within what you felt you needed to do, and that was drawn out of you. And it's very amazing for me to see that you were one of the few. There was a handful of you who were able to stay in the Joffrey through the transition from Gerald Arpino's death to Ashley Weeder's direction. Most of the other ones were not able to adapt, or they couldn't. And what was it about it that it enthralled you when you could have gone anywhere for that matter? Now the height for you was no problem. There's a lot of dancers that are tall. What enthralled you that you stayed there, and now you sort of have this passion to continue doing something with dance?
I became very loyal to the Joffrey Ballet because I first of all, when I joined the Joffrey, you have to know Gerald Arpino to understand really what he
I know.
it is to this man was very special, and he had his way to make you realize lots of things about yourself, about dance, about art, make you love it even more, make you appreciate the grit, make you appreciate yourself, make you appreciate the art form, make you appreciate what you were doing, the heart of the company. This man was so special. And to give me that shot already where others would stall, he saw me and he was like, I know exactly what to do with you. He empowers you as a person, especially when you doubt yourself as a young dancers. You come in, you hear this sort of the same type of scenario, same type of stories all the time. Oh, you're tall, we don't know what to do, la 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 la. But him, he was very clear, very clear. Like source water. He was just like, I know what to do with you, and I'm gonna make it happen. And so when you have this such commitment from the person, really is this iconic person, and you can't just go anywhere else. You just gotta follow the man wherever he goes. And he made me promise, while I did all these years after that, I stayed with the company. And when it was like, I think 4 or 5 years in, he came in one day, it's like, promise me one thing. You never leave the Joffrey, right? And like he said that, what do you want to do? I promised them like I would never leave. I felt like it was kind of a connection right away. And I felt very, very involved and committed and loyal to this company.
No, I think he was a misunderstood individual in the dance world. But some people, I mean, we complained a lot. We fought a lot. I fought a lot with him, so with many of the other people. But I respected him. I absolutely thought that he was a man who was in touch with the times. People complained about him. Maybe he wasn't the greatest choreographer in the world, but how many were as successful as he was during all that period of time? He was able to bring things out of the dancers, yourself, and take it to an audience that really enjoyed it. And that's the case that our St. Louis audience was able to see you guys and appreciate you as a dancer. And we're really thrilled that this year you're going to be coming to visit us as part of an evening of ballet stars, 6'7" and all. We want you there as a whole. But tell us now, I mean, you went through 18 years doing incredible work. Now what? What are you doing? I mean, you look great.
I came up with really this realization of, I think every dancer's thing was to sometimes hold on too tight, and I think it comes from a place of insecurity in some ways. It's like this big question of life that we're so scared to talk about, like this, or ask ourselves, what comes next. You know what I mean? It's like it comes with this age and past and almost like this sorrow and pain, that no one wants to approach. But I never saw it this way. I saw it like I don't see like things at an end. I see it as a continuation and more growth, passing along. The truth is, for early on, I remember when I started with Joffrey, talking about teaching, for example, when you were a young dancer or even in your 20s or 30s, it was like something like it belongs to the old people. I didn't think so. I felt like it was a continuation of passing on knowledge in an energy that you had to give on to the next generation. So for me, it was really important. And what I was kind of laughed at, when I started teaching, honestly, I started teaching when I was 24 and really giving lessons and, passing on and helping. It just felt like, for me, when I was there, I was like, you have done, all these things at the Joffrey. You have empowered things, but I think I came to a point where I felt that I did everything, sort of, and I guess I could recreate another character, being great at another lead part or thing like that. But I wanted to do a bit more. For me, it was a big question is, I always ask myself the big question is, when I came to the US, I always ask myself, why is it just not more than it is? What is ballet so always seen as something lower? Like it's just not, it's niche, but it's sometimes not like as lifted as it is to, for example, the basketball or like NFL or NBA. Now, why is it not just bigger than it is? So I always was really desired to kind of solve these big mystery of like how things are playing in the United States, hard in ballet. So I felt like it was the right time when I'm still fresh and strong and on top of my game to make that transition, to really tackle the next part of my life, which is I want to solve these mysteries. I want to change things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt. I mean, I came from South America, but there we had a tradition. Even dancers were respected. Companies were funded in some way when there were not many, but those who were funded. But I always thought that if I could put bedding windows in the theater and say, well, you can put a $2 bed on the tall guy or the short guy or the middle guy and see which one turns more that evening, that all of a sudden dance will become popular, because that's the only way people associate with prowess, instead of the fact that the prowess has to be molded into an artistic product which transcends the number of pirouettes or how high the jump goes. And the beauty about watching you dance is that that's very apparent. Your presence is there. And one thing that impressed me the most, and you came here to do Nutcracker, and everybody was hurt. There was a lot of people hurt. And all of a sudden, it was the Fabrice Calmels version of the Joffrey Ballet Nutcracker. You appeared as a father, you appeared as a snowman, you appeared as an Arabian, the Cavalier. It was like, wait a minute, it's insane. But that I know it, because that was the Joffrey Ballet. I mean, you just did not get typecast that way. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit now. Let's go some. What you're going to be coming here one way or the other? What I know that we talked about what you might be dancing, and I know you were very passionate about something. Tell us about it. Tell me the passion of what you want to dance.
So we're really looking with Victoria. We know we have a beautiful duet from Nicola that we want to bring it on. Actually, we had several pieces. We're very indecisive of what we want to bring, but because there's so many great pieces who I think represents, the strength, my strength, but also Victoria's in the same time. So we're coming out as a couple. And, I've seen so many things like, the pieces that we have danced for the longest time, that we are so familiar. For me, it's really, I think our strength is with Victoria. And let's talk about Victoria. Victoria is also been with Joffrey for a very long time. It was actually arrived 1 year after me. So she must be now also she must be now 18 years in the company as well. But what's really kind of amazing is that, after dancing for so long together, we don't think about steps. We don't think about this kind of athletic aspect of the piece, which is kind of like second nature. And that, I think the audience can sense it. It's no longer like worked. You can tell a lot of the time, when two artists get together to do a piece, they have to practice. And even though they come to a really high professional level, it's not as natural, because it still requires a lot of, athleticism, and obviously sometimes because of experience, it stays a little disconnected. But Victoria and I, because we've known each other for this amount of years, we have worked on certain pieces for X amount of years. It's just a bit more natural, and I've been talking with her to try to bring these old pieces that we've done, and we've been so fuse her and I together that really will be so light and very uplifting, but also beautiful to watch and natural. I want the audience to sense this experience, but also this just fluidity and easiness into our duets.
And one last thing, I mean, you're in LA right now, or out in the West Coast,
I am, yes, LA.
Okay. So, what are you doing there? So you left the Midwest.
Yeah, I did. I came to California for multiple reasons. Example, for that quest of trying to tie up the knot and try to elevate, the dance industry. And obviously, this is a much more difficult time, that I would expect. But my key was to really kind of realize that, really honestly, the theater world and the commercial world are very separated. And the commercial world has such a good reach because they use TV and, film, and the film industry has a larger reach than, the theater reach. So my big goal right now is to really kind of bridge these two together, so to offer more content that is ballet onto the media, onto TV, and onto the screen industry. So this is what I'm trying to accomplish when I'm here in California, to really kind of like get the connections and get everything bridged as much as possible.
Well, that's great. So we look forward to seeing that. And before we leave, do you have anything you want to tell our audience about it? Because they'll be very excited to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think overall with this quarantine and these unprecedented time, it's very difficult. Everyone is just really confused and much more also, for the dance industry, wondering where are we going from there. But I just want to remind everyone that, ballet has been existing for hundreds of years, and, the Academy of Art of Dance was created in 1661. I don't think America is that old. And the truth is, ballet has survived tons of pandemic, tons of chaos, and still continue to grow as we are today. I just, I admire that. I admire all the people along, this time that kept on growing ballet and arts. And I just think everyone needs to be positive that we will come out even stronger.
Well, that's great. Fabrice, I don't want to take more of your time, but I thank you for being part of this. And we'll be seeing you in a few months. So you take care, okay?
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you again.
Bye. Bye.